Welcome to the Principal's Message and what will be the last Principal's Message for the year. And today I'm joined by Maria Boucher, Learning Leader of the English faculty. And I thought what would be really good today, Maria, would be to talk a little bit about what families and students can do over the Christmas holidays, particularly in the space of reading. Because summer is reading time, isn't it? For me it's cricket time, but for lots and lots of people it's a great time to sit down over summer and start reading. And so what advice would you give to parents maybe to start with about reading?
Well, I think one of the things that we've found interesting this year is that we've actually been doing quite a bit of research into reading and why people read and what are the benefits of reading. And one of the things that's really stood out most to me with that is that there's quite a bit of evidence now to suggest that reading for pleasure is one of the key predictors of academic success, not just in English, but across the board. That's quite amazing, and it suggests that one of the things that parents and families can do to promote academic success for their kids is to really encourage reading. So I think that a terrific thing to do over summer is to enjoy some reading independently on the beach, together as a family, however you like. But whether your child is in ELP or Year 12, it is a really, really wonderful thing that families can do to support their students' learning to read and to encourage a love of reading.
And look, I think back at my journey as a reader, and I'm not a voracious reader. I struggled to enjoy reading, and I look at my children who love reading, and I think schools have done a great job in the last decade or so of encouraging kids to read. You've got primary age children. What's your reading routine with your primary age children?
We have read to our kids every day since the day that they were born. But we are also very lucky as a family that we have grandparents and uncles and aunties and cousins who've all read to our children. So we're part of a community that really loves reading and sees it as normal and fun.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting for me as someone who wasn't a natural reader to watch my children who are avid readers. I particularly look at one of my daughters who reads, she can almost be reading 3 books at once. I don't know how that's humanly possible, but I'm really interested in your perspectives on the actual medium that kids are reading. Because I look at my daughters and they're reading novels on their iPhones, they're reading them to the screen, they're reading hard copy real books. So we have a third of our fiction resource in our library is now virtual. What's your view on the medium that kids are reading on?
I think there's a couple of things that are really important there in what we're learning from the research. The first is that one thing that really promotes reading and a love of reading is choice. Kids love to be able to choose books that suit them, not have them dictated by an adult. And we are incredibly blessed at Billanook to have brilliant librarians who are terrific at recommending books to kids of all ages. So one thing I would say is that it's important that we value whatever reading kids choose to do. Whether that be graphic novels or magazines or reading online, any reading is better than no reading, really.
Yeah.
That said, though, there is also some evidence that students are less able to process what they read online and more distracted when they're reading online. So that's not necessarily the Kindles, that type of screen reading, but when you're trying to read on your iPhone, that takes a really dedicated reader to maintain concentration and not be distracted by emails.
So I think that there's 2 things there, isn't there? One is the nature of the screen versus paper. The other is distraction as well. And you know, I think we've gone through a whole period of time where multitasking was the key to success. You know, we were all told a decade ago that we needed to do more than one thing at once, and there's a lot of research now saying that that's actually bad for us, that being singularly focused on a task is far more valuable in terms of depth and comprehension than having 3 screens open at once. So I think there's that element for sure, isn't there? But there's also that really deep-seated human emotion of touching paper, isn't there? Of actually touching a real book and turning the pages physically with your hands as well.
I do read on the Kindle myself, and I really enjoy that kind of reading too. I wouldn't want to be sort of technologically phobic about using devices, but I think there's cautions in there.
Yeah, and I think that's what you were saying about choice, isn't it? I think it's so important that students are authors of their own learning, that they have control of their learning, as opposed to being told what to learn, when to learn it, and how to do it. Choice is so important, isn't it? And and I see kids at school here, and we've been really careful to say that it's not technology or bust, because you'll see kids in the centre space will have a computer open and an iPad open and a textbook open and their book open and they're writing. So I think that whole concept of choice is really critical. As we're heading into Step Up now, we're working towards learning for 2018, and we've been talking a lot about novels for Year 12s, haven't we? And how we engage students with that. And you and I have actually talked about the value of actually sitting and reading, even to Year 12 kids, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's what you did today, wasn't it?
Absolutely, it was. And in fact, it's something that we're doing during the Step Up period. Every year level from Year 8 to Year 12, to encourage the students to take the time to get ahead with their reading, read their books for next year, maximise time during Step Up so that they can also maximise the reading of their choice in the holidays rather than spending all their time reading the books.
Yeah.
But again, it's such a great thing to do to set up their learning for next year.
Yep. And I think, while I feel I might not have necessarily been a natural reader, I still do read a lot. I read a lot of newspapers or current affairs, or and that engages me. And I think that's probably the message for families and for students, isn't it? Is that it doesn't really matter necessarily what it is that you read. It's the fact that you engage with the written word in that way.
Absolutely. And again, choice is really important there, because another element of the research is that, for example, often boys prefer to read newspapers, sometimes non-fiction, as a mode of learning rather than the fiction novels.
Yep.
So again, the last thing you would want would be to say to those kids, "Oh no, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
You need to read novels."
Yeah. What are you reading at the moment?
Well, I'm reading Harry Potter with my children. We're reading The Goblet of Fire at the moment. And for myself, I've been reading a book called All the Light We Cannot See, which is a magnificent book set in the Second World War in France. Recommended to me by one of my Year 10s.
Yep. And what are you looking forward to reading coming up in the holidays? What's going to be Christmas reading for you?
Oh, I don't know, actually. My children have put together quite a big list of things that they would like us to all read aloud together. So I think we'll be doing some of that, and then I'm hoping that I'll be given some lovely gifts to surprise me.
Yeah. So it's summer, it's sunny, the cricket's on, but maybe have a think about what you can do as a family. And it doesn't matter if you've got a 3-year-old or an 18-year-old. The power of reading together is similar to the power of breaking bread together. It's about being in community and sharing, isn't it? I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas break. I hope you have a safe and a joyous holiday with your family. Thanks so much for your contribution as a community this year. We've had a wonderful year at Billanook, and I'm really, really excited about what 2018 will bring for us. And I look forward to seeing you all back at the start of school next year. Thanks very much. Have a great Christmas.